Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update from NFL News Now. The Detroit Lions have dropped some news that has the entire NFL world buzzing, and not in a good way. Just days after celebrating their impressive 37-24 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals, a win that boosted them to an encouraging 4-1 start to the season, Detroit fans were hit with a reality check. Their offensive engine, the heart and soul of their passing attack, might not be suiting up for one of the most anticipated matchups of the year. Two-time All-Pro wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, the dynamic playmaker who has become Jared Goff's go-to weapon and one of the league's most electrifying receivers, is dealing with a wrist injury that suddenly puts his Week 6 status against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in serious doubt. This is the kind of news that stops a fan base in its tracks, and you could practically feel the collective gasp across Detroit when the announcement dropped. Now, let's rewind for a second. On Sunday, against Cincinnati, St. Brown didn't find the end zone, something that's become almost routine for him this season. But that doesn't mean he wasn't his usual dominant self. The former USC Trojan hauled in 8 catches for a team-high 100 yards, doing exactly what he does best, carving up defenses with surgical precision, making the tough grabs look effortless, and setting the tone for an offense that's been firing on all cylinders. Even without a touchdown, his impact was undeniable. The Lions don't just feed him the ball. They rely on him to dictate coverage, to force defenses into uncomfortable decisions, to be the spark when they need a drive to come alive. He's that guy, and now, that guy might be sidelined when Detroit faces the defending Super Bowl champions. The official practice report from Wednesday painted a concerning picture. St. Brown was listed as did not practice, and that's never the kind of label fans want to see attached to their star receiver, especially ahead of a game like this. The Lions didn't provide much detail on the nature or severity of the wrist injury, which only adds to the speculation. Did he tweak it during the Bengals game? Was it something lingering that flared up afterward? No one knows for sure. What we do know is that Detroit's medical staff will be monitoring him closely over the next couple of days, hoping he can at least get limited work in during Thursday or Friday sessions. If not, his chances of playing on Sunday shrink dramatically, and with that, so might Detroit's hopes of keeping pace with one of the league's most explosive teams. The timing couldn't be worse. This matchup against the Chiefs isn't just another game on the calendar, it's a statement opportunity. The Lions have spent the last 2 seasons shaking off the rebuilding label and transforming into legitimate contenders in the NFC. Beating Kansas City, on their turf, would send a message loud and clear to the rest of the league. Detroit isn't just a feel-good story anymore. They're the real deal. But to pull that off, they need all their stars on the field, and there's no bigger star in Honolulu Blue right now than Amon-Ra St. Brown. His chemistry with Jared Goff is the cornerstone of this offense. Every route, every audible, every bit of timing they've built over the years has been a masterclass in precision. Losing that, even for one game, throws the entire rhythm off balance. Goff has been solid this year, but let's be honest, he's at his best when St. Brown is out there creating mismatches and giving him a reliable read on every down. Without him, the Lions' receiving core looks a little thinner. Josh Reynolds has been a steady complementary piece, and rookie Jameson Williams has shown flashes of the deep threat speed that made him a first-round pick, but neither replicates what St. Brown brings to the table. He's that rare blend of route technician and emotional leader, the kind of player who elevates everyone around him just by being on the field. When he's in rhythm, the Lions' offense hums. When he's not, defenses can key in on Detroit's running game and make life much harder for Goff in the pocket. The wrist injury itself raises a lot of questions. For receivers, wrist issues can be tricky. They affect everything from catching technique to hand placement to balance on contested plays. Even if he's able to suit up, it's fair to wonder how effective he'll be. A slight tweak in the wrist can limit a receiver's ability to secure the ball in traffic or fight through press coverage, especially against a physical secondary like Kansas City's. And speaking of that secondary, they've been quietly solid this season, holding opposing quarterbacks to a sub-90 passer rating and thriving on turnovers. If St. Brown is out or limited, that's a big advantage for a Chiefs defense that thrives on disrupting timing routes and forcing quarterbacks into uncomfortable throws. The Lions' injury list doesn't stop with St. Brown either. Wednesday's report was packed with familiar names, and it reads like a laundry list of aches and pains from a team that's been battling hard every week. Cornerback Terrion Arnold is dealing with a shoulder issue, linebacker Zach Cunningham is nursing a hamstring injury, and both tackle Taylor Decker and safety Kirby Joseph were sidelined with shoulder and knee problems, respectively. Add to that wide receiver Khalif Raymond, who's battling a neck injury, and running back Sione Vaki, out with a groin problem, and suddenly Detroit's depth looks a bit shaky heading into a game where every play counts. Even defensive back Brian Branch, one of their rising young stars, was limited with an ankle injury, though defensive tackle Alam McNeil was a full participant, a small silver lining in an otherwise cloudy update. For a team that's prided itself on resilience and depth, this week will be the ultimate test. Dan Campbell, the Lions' fiery head coach, has built a culture based on toughness and accountability, and you can bet he's preaching the next man up mentality in the locker room right now. Still, replacing Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't something you can just scheme your way around. He's not just another piece, he's the engine. His leadership in the huddle, his energy on the sideline, his relentless work ethic, it all bleeds into the fabric of this team. When he's hyped, everyone else feeds off that. When he's silent, you feel that too. Statistically, St. Brown is off to another blistering start this season. Through 5 games, he's already racked up 35 receptions for 407 yards and leads the league in receiving touchdowns with 6. That kind of production speaks for itself. He's not just putting up numbers, he's dictating outcomes. Every time the Lions have needed a big play, he's been the one to deliver, whether it's a clutch third-down conversion or a perfectly timed red zone route. He's developed that rare reputation where defenses know what's coming and still can't stop it. Take that away, and the Lions' offensive playbook suddenly looks a lot more predictable. From the Chiefs' perspective, you can imagine they're preparing for both scenarios. Andy Reid and defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo are probably watching film of St. Brown, but also preparing contingency plans in case he's out. If he doesn't play, expect Kansas City to stack the box against Detroit's run game, daring Goff to beat them without his top target. If he does play, even at less than 100%, they'll test that wrist early, press coverage, physical contact at the line, anything to see how he handles it. Either way, his status changes everything about how this matchup unfolds. For fans, the waiting game begins now. Every tweet from beat reporters, every update from practice over the next few days will be dissected for clues. Was he wearing a brace? Was he catching passes in warm-ups? Did he take part in team drills? This is the kind of storyline that dominates NFL headlines, not just because of its implications for one game, but because it affects the broader picture of the NFC race. The Lions are trying to prove they belong among the elite, the Eagles, the 49ers, the Cowboys, and to do that, they need their stars healthy. Losing St. Brown, even temporarily, could derail some of that momentum they've been building. Still, if there's one thing this Lions team has shown, it's that they're built to fight through adversity. Last season, they clawed their way back from a brutal start to nearly make the playoffs. This year, they've shown maturity, poise, and a newfound confidence that feels different, like they truly believe they can win any game against any opponent. Whether or not Amon-Ra St. Brown takes the field on Sunday, that mindset will be tested. And if he does manage to play, even limited, you can bet he'll bring that same relentless fire he's known for, because that's who he is. He's not the kind of player who backs down from a challenge. He's the kind who plays through pain, who thrives when the odds are stacked against him. For now, though, all eyes are on that wrist. For the Lions, for their fans, and for anyone who loves seeing elite football, the hope is that this is just a minor setback, a small bump in what's shaping up to be another incredible season for one of the NFL's brightest young stars. The story of Week 6 might not just be about Mahomes versus Goff, or Chiefs versus Lions. It might be about whether Amon-Ra St. Brown can defy the odds once again and take the field when his team needs him most. Because if there's one thing we've learned about him over the years, it's that you never count him out. Not when the lights are bright, not when the stakes are high, and certainly not when Detroit's pride is on the line. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors. Scandal rocks the NFL as shocking allegations have emerged regarding the recently played game between the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens. and sources say the league is taking the unprecedented step of canceling the match entirely. Yes, you heard that right. A game that fans watched, cheered for, and analyzed is now being stricken from the official records, leaving players, coaches, and supporters alike in utter disbelief. The rumblings began quietly, with murmurs on social media and whispers among insiders hinting at irregularities. But in just a matter of hours, these whispers exploded into a full-blown scandal that has shaken the foundations of professional football. According to insiders who spoke under the condition of anonymity, the issues stem from allegations that go far beyond the usual complaints about officiating or questionable calls on the field. The claims suggest that there were deliberate manipulations in game protocols, possibly influencing the outcome in ways that would be unthinkable for a league of this stature. While the NFL has always prided itself on the integrity of its competitions, the very act of canceling a game retroactively raises a series of questions that experts, fans, and analysts are scrambling to answer. How could something like this happen in a sport that is monitored so meticulously? And more importantly, what does this mean for the teams involved and the legitimacy of their standings this season? Early reports indicate that the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens were both notified of the league's decision late last night, leaving players and coaches in shock. Some Lions players, sources say, reacted with disbelief, expressing frustration that months of preparation, sweat, and strategy could be erased in a single announcement. Meanwhile, inside the Ravens' locker room, there's reportedly a mix of anger and bewilderment, with several players questioning whether the allegations are being exaggerated or misrepresented. The NFL, for its part, has released a carefully worded statement acknowledging serious allegations of procedural irregularities, but refusing to provide concrete details, citing the ongoing investigation. This kind of statement has only fueled the rumor mill, with fans speculating wildly on social media, podcasts, and sports forums about what could have possibly gone so wrong that an entire game needed to be expunged from the records. Theories are running rampant, ranging from tampering with official playbooks to manipulation of officiating assignments, and even more outlandish claims involving unauthorized technology or insider betting influences. Adding fuel to the fire is the timing of the cancellation. The game in question took place just last weekend, a matchup that had drawn national attention for its high stakes and thrilling moments on the field. The fact that the league moved so quickly to cancel the result suggests that the evidence prompting this decision may be substantial and difficult to ignore. Sources hint at a document leak that allegedly shows discrepancies in game reporting and player tracking data, sparking alarm among NFL executives. While none of these documents have been confirmed publicly, the mere suggestion has created a whirlwind of speculation, leaving fans of both teams torn between disbelief and outrage. Commentators are already debating the implications. If the game is stricken from the record, how will this affect playoff standings, player statistics, and even contract incentives tied to performance? Some insiders are suggesting that the ripple effects could extend far beyond these two teams, potentially influencing scheduling, officiating reviews, and league-wide transparency measures moving forward. The social media storm has been immediate and relentless. Fans of both the Lions and Ravens have flooded platforms with conflicting theories and emotional reactions, ranging from support for their favorite teams to condemnation of what many see as a deep betrayal of trust. Hashtags related to the scandal are trending, with some users calling for the NFL commissioner to step in personally, while others are demanding that the game be replayed under strict supervision to ensure fairness. Analysts on sports networks are weighing in, with some describing the situation as unprecedented and potentially catastrophic for the league's credibility, while others caution that hasty judgments could backfire and that fans need to wait for the full investigation to conclude. Regardless of the stance, there's no denying that the announcement has created one of the most intense moments of controversy in recent NFL history, a level of chaos that rivals any other scandal in professional sports. Meanwhile, speculation about who might be responsible is reaching fever pitch. Insiders suggest that multiple parties could be involved, from rogue officials to team personnel, and even unnamed third-party vendors who handle technical operations for game management. Rumors of internal investigations leaking to the press have added an additional layer of drama, as journalists scramble to verify claims while avoiding potential legal pitfalls. Some experts are pointing to past incidents where technology and officiating inconsistencies raised eyebrows, suggesting that this current situation could represent a culmination of systemic weaknesses that have gone unaddressed. Others are more conspiratorial, hinting at the possibility of organized tampering, though concrete evidence to support such claims remains elusive. Still, the atmosphere around the NFL is tense, with insiders reportedly holding emergency meetings to assess damage control, draft statements for stakeholders, and anticipate the fallout from sponsors, broadcasters, and fans alike. The players themselves are caught in an unusual limbo. Some have taken to social media to express confusion, disappointment, and frustration, while others have remained silent, perhaps waiting for official clarification before speaking publicly. Coaches have reportedly been called into urgent meetings with league officials, discussing the ramifications for team morale, public perception, and the strategic consequences of having a game removed from the schedule. The psychological impact on players, who train for weeks for each matchup, cannot be understated, with sources noting that some veterans are deeply concerned about the precedent this sets. Will other games be scrutinized retroactively? Could this trigger a domino effect across the league? These questions hang in the air as both teams grapple with an uncertain future, and as fans try to reconcile the exhilarating moments they witnessed with the reality that, officially, the game never happened. The broader sports world is watching closely. Rumors of similar irregularities in other leagues, past and present, are being dredged up as comparisons are made, fueling endless debate over how professional sports organizations maintain integrity. Pundits are pointing out that while this may seem like an isolated incident, the optics are particularly damaging because the NFL has cultivated a brand built on fairness, competitiveness, and reliability. A canceled game, retroactively applied, undermines that image in ways that no marketing campaign can fix. Sponsors, already skittish after high-profile controversies in other leagues, are reportedly in consultation with legal teams to understand potential liabilities and reputational risks, while networks are recalibrating their promotional strategies in light of the news. As investigations continue behind closed doors, speculation shows no sign of slowing. Fans are dissecting every available clip, tweet, and quote, hunting for clues that could confirm or deny the swirling rumors. Podcasts and sports talk shows are treating the scandal as a developing narrative, with hosts theorizing about motives, consequences, and potential whistleblowers. The NFL, meanwhile, is balancing its need for transparency against legal considerations, attempting to quell the frenzy without revealing sensitive information that could compromise the investigation. The result is a perfect storm of rumor, suspicion, and intrigue, with each passing hour adding new layers to a story that may ultimately reshape how professional football handles accountability, technology, and game integrity. In the end, what's certain is that this incident has left an indelible mark on the sport. The Detroit Lions versus Baltimore Ravens game, once celebrated for its athletic prowess and nail-biting moments, has now become a symbol of controversy, raising fundamental questions about trust, fairness, and the very nature of competition in the NFL. Whether this scandal will lead to systemic reforms, permanent policy changes, or just a fleeting moment of outrage remains to be seen. But for now, fans and insiders alike are left with one undeniable truth. In professional sports, even the most sacred of games can unravel in ways no one ever anticipated. As the investigation unfolds, the league's credibility, the team's legacies, and the hearts of millions of fans hang in a delicate balance, with every rumor, leak, and allegation scrutinized under an unforgiving spotlight. And so, the NFL scandal continues to dominate the conversation, a story of intrigue, suspicion, and unprecedented upheaval that could define this season, and perhaps the league itself, for years to come. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates, only here on NFL News Now.